Ryan Kurczak here of Asheville Vedic Astrology. Today we're going to talk about life purpose and astrology and how those two things combine. We can see within the birth chart a person's purpose, a person's direction in life, the skills that they have, the work that they will do. And there's an idea that if we were just using those skills, if we were just doing exactly what we should be doing, then we would be happy. We'd be fulfilled and everything would work out well. The problem with that kind of thinking is that astrologically, you really can't do what's not indicated in your chart without a lot of effort, which means that those things that you're involved in with work, with just life activity in general, those are going to be the things that are indicated within your chart. Now, there is other aspects of the chart, such as the fourth house, the influences on the moon, that show how content are we going to be with what happens in our life. How are we going to interpret what's happening to us? We can also look at the Navamsha for that to see if we feel like our life has innate purpose. If we have a really wonderful Navamsha, a really wonderful Jupiter and Venus in the Navamsha, that'll show someone that even if they have a hard chart or a hard life or a lot of difficulties in their purpose, they will feel like it's meaningful, like they are doing something of value. If we have someone with a very easy chart, a chart where work comes naturally, skills come naturally, and things work out well, but in the Navamsha we have a difficult Jupiter or Venus or ninth Bhava cusp in the ninth, that will show someone that no matter how smooth it goes, there can always be this nagging feeling that they don't fit in, or that they're not fulfilling their purpose, or they're not getting any kind of higher fulfillment. So the difference between career and purpose, direction in life, might not have anything to do with our natural state of fulfillment. And that's a problem, because again, we have that disconnect. We think that if we're only doing that right thing, then we'll be fulfilled. And this is where astrology and the yogic sciences come into play. Because if we're practicing yoga and we're practicing meditation, studying the Yoga Sutras, studying the Bhagavad Gita, we learn to get detachment. We learn to understand what we are at the essence of our being. And that's what brings happiness. And once we have that inner contentment, that inner peace, no matter what we're doing, we're going to feel like we're fulfilling our purpose. Because astrology is considered to be a Vishnu path. And through astrology, you learn to see that everything is an aspect of the divine. Everything is an aspect of one thing, God, however you want to interpret it. Which means that the criminal is an aspect of the divine. The banker is an aspect of the divine. The cook, the lawyer, the doctor, the astrologer, the boxer, all of these people are fulfilling a role, a more relative role, but it's still an expression of the same one infinite consciousness. Now, whether they're happy with it, that is a different part of the chart. So, again, this is where the yogic sciences come in, because astrology can show what are the skills, what are the talents, and what kind of work is a person probably going to get involved with. And they might like it and they might not like it. That's up to other areas of the chart. But by practicing yoga meditation, by getting detachment, by figuring out what you are, then it doesn't matter what you're doing. Then you could work in a warehouse and you'll be happy. You could be a doctor, you could be happy. You could be a garbage man and be happy. You could be a fisherman and be happy. You could be a soldier and be happy. Because again, you're fulfilling that role. So with astrology, what we have to see is that our purpose, our talents, our skills, and our direction, we're probably already using those. Whether we're happy with it or not, that is a different area. And that's something that's hard to work on if it's not already there. Because most people who come to an astrologer because they have these problems usually have those areas of the chart saying that they're not going to get the fulfillment that they're looking for. And the people who are fulfilled innately, they're not coming to an astrologer, because even if things are going wrong, they see that it fits into the bigger picture somehow. And again, this is really a lot based on the Navamsha and the placement of Venus and Jupiter within the Navamsha, the dignity of those planets, how committed we are to our path. So these are the things we need to take into consideration. Also with life purpose, we need to consider the dashas, or the time cycles. So let me pull up a little image here. Let's see if I can do that. Image. Okay, so if we're looking at the chart here, we're pretending that we've got this Sagittarius ascendant. Of course, it goes around, and if you don't know how to read the chart style like this, you can look at my other videos on this YouTube channel, and it'll speak to it. But when it comes to life purpose, sometimes our life purpose is very different, depending on the dasha or the cycle. So, for example, if we are in a period of Jupiter Mahadasha, we see that Jupiter is in the 8th house. Well, 8th house issues, that's a focus on developing our vitality. It could bring up legal issues. It could bring up focus on life extension, working with chronic illnesses. These are just some general examples of 8th house influences, which is going to show that when you're in that dasha of Jupiter, for this person, since Jupiter rules the ascendant and it's in the 8th, that the 8th house situations are going to be what your life purpose is about. If, let's say, you're in a Mercury cycle, and we see that Mercury here rules the 10th, it's in the 10th, and it's exalted, this is going to be a time period where the person is very much out in the world, being active, focused on their career, focused on getting things done. So during that particular cycle, during that particular time, that's what the life purpose is about. And that's the beauty of Vedic astrology, is that there are these changing cycles, there are these ups and these downs. Sometimes we're in 12th house periods, which are periods of retirement, being away from the world. Sometimes we're in 10th house periods where we're actively involved in our career. Sometimes we're in 6th house periods. So for this chart, having the moon in the 6th here, that could give us a focus on health concerns, or it could cause more debts and delays within our life, again, based on what the moon represents and the influences on the moon and so on. But the point being, what the chart can show is what is your current purpose, what is your current time cycle showing that you're meant to be working on. And that's what you need to be working on. Otherwise, you're going to be, say, in an 8th house period and unhappy because your Mercury isn't activated fully. But really, you're supposed to be focusing here, not here. And this also brings us to the point that with the dashas, sometimes we don't get to the cycle we want until it's too late. Or it could be that this Mercury dasha happened during the first 8 years of the person's life. And so after that, they might have been a child prodigy in some ways or very active in their life. But after that, that planet's not going to get activated again until closer to the end of their life. So with the dashas, we can see just when can we put attention where, what is our purpose based on those planetary issues, and this is our relative purpose. We can also see the level of happiness and fulfillment that a person's naturally going to experience. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less, and everyone's chart is different. And we can also see that the astrological chart is our relative purpose. So currently, 7.5 billion people on the planet, close to 8, I don't know, something like that. That means there are, let's say, 8 billion people all needing to fulfill a role. And each of those roles can be very different. Maybe someone's role is to simply be a mother. Someone's role is to be a teacher. Someone's role is only to live to be 5 years old. But that's their role, and that's what they're here to play. We can't all be playing the same thing. A lot of difficulties that people have is they feel like they're not impacting enough people, that they're not helping enough people. Well, the idea of helping someone, again, that's a preconceived notion, something that you should be doing. And we look up to all these people who have this global outreach or global impact. But there are all kinds of people that supported them that didn't have that karma that shows that they're going to reach that many people. And we have to remember this because our roles are simply based on our specific karmas. And not everyone can be a seemingly great person, and nor should anyone be a seemingly great person. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says that the yogi, number one, is entitled to action only, not to the fruits of their action. And then, I believe it's later on, it goes on to say that it's better to do your own duty, although poorly, than it is to do someone else's well. And what's really fascinating about astrology is that each of these ascendants have a different kind of combination or genetic makeup. For example, for a Virgo ascendant, to follow, to really impress upon oneself a need to be very moral and opinionated and always doing the right thing. That's kind of counter to Virgo, because Virgo is meant to be very realistic within the world, to see what needs to be done, not what should be done. For a Leo ascendant, the planet Jupiter is a much better planet for them, as is the planet Mars. And these are the planets of morals, the planet of law and dharma as we typically think of it, which means to follow moral precepts, to engage in what we would naturally consider a dharmic path. That is very much something Leo should do. Whereas for Virgo, Virgo is meant to be realistic with the situation, do what needs to be done, not what should be done. Okay, so as we can see, each of these signs, each of these ascendants will have a different way of working. And that doesn't mean that you go out and be immoral and bad or negative or consciously hurt other people, because that creates more negative karma. But it means that if you have an innate understanding of who you are as an incarnated being, you can work with it. If you're a Virgo ascendant, you can stop beating yourself up over the fact that you don't do everything you should do. If you're a Leo ascendant, you can figure out that it's probably good to follow some principles laid down by a guru or laid down by a teacher, or following a philosophy that you can get behind, because Leo does that very well. All of these are different, and we could go into all 12 of them, but this is just to give you an example. So keep this in mind when it comes to life purpose in Vedic astrology. There's no ultimate thing that you need to be doing. There's fulfilling your relative karma, which is outlined by your chart, and there is also fulfilling your absolute karma, which is learning to transcend that chart, to see it as a role being played, but to know what you are at the innate core essence of your being and live from it. And this is the best advice that I could give to anyone who's trying to figure out what their purpose is. Remember, if you're not happy with things, and that's kind of a chronic state for you, getting a new job might not make the difference. It's something that needs to be changed internally. If you are a optimistic, tranquil, peaceful person, happy person, even having a bad job, you can deal with it well. So remember to engage in meditation practice or a yoga practice to start to free yourself from the karma or the constraints of your mind and your consciousness that make you unhappy. Find out what your skills and talents are, and do your best to achieve them. Even if you fail, it doesn't matter. At least you're doing your part. You're doing your work. You're doing your duty. You're following your svadharma, as they say. And that's the best thing you can do. You can check out my other YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Kriya Yoga Online. That's Kriya Yoga, Yoga, online, ONLINE. And on that, you'll find plenty of philosophical videos. You'll find plenty of videos dealing with meditation and Kriya Yoga. And if you start engaging that, you might find that you're all right with your life path and your life purpose, and you get more inner guidance. And then an astrologer will be much better for you, work much better for you, because you don't have all that static, those expectations to get in the way of a good reading. And you'll be able to listen and hear what there is to be said. So take that and consider it, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.